white demons. Put my shit in the car, then I moved to Atlanta. Y'all thought it was sightseeing. Yes, I was stressed for the time being. Wake up, little nigga, it's grind season.
And that we recording? We recording on the mics? Randy, we recording on the mics?
Yes, you are.
All right, we here. Okay, we here. Grind Season TV, man. I'm here with a legend today. This is probably the biggest interview I've done so far. And when I say a legend, this shit is an understatement, man. I literally grew up to this man's music. So, the music that he played a major part of. So today we got Arsenal in the building from the Heatmakerz, man.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing today, Ars, man?
I'm good, man.
I appreciate you for taking the time to do this during this pandemic, having us in this illustrious studio, and we walked into some legendary acts in here just on the walk-in, man.
It was a good day.
It's just Monday.
Yeah, it was a good Monday.
It's a good Monday.
So Joel Ortiz.
Yeah.
Michael K. Williams. Yeah, it was some. Michael K. To me, Michael K. Williams is a big deal. Joel too, but Joel's my homeboy. So.
Yeah.
But Michael K. Man, like I said.
And if you don't know,
legendary actor.
If you don't know who that is, that's Omar, man. Omar's coming.
Yeah, or if you watch Boardwalk Empire.
Yup, Boardwalk Empire, all of that stuff. So he's been in some stuff. He even in 2K right now. Matter of fact, I was just playing that. He was They had the new 2K. It was a dude. His father had the storyline was his father passed away.
Oh, and his voice is in there.
His face is in there. Him as the actor, he's in 2K. So shout out to him, man.
That's fine.
I wanted to take it back though to the beginning. Coming from Jamaica, growing up in the Bronx, that Jamaica roots. We want to just talk about that a little bit. Huh? I got to, man. Come on.
Right. What you want to know?
Hey, well, so I seen in a prior interview we done. I think we was talking about you making I can't remember exactly what beat it was, but it was coming up with Dipset Anthem, and you was saying that you didn't grow up. You grew up in a reggae Caribbean household, a lot of reggae. So how did your introduction to hip hop come about?
Funny enough, because this dude is my homeboy now, the first hip hop record that I ever got to know was Ice-T's Cop Killer. And I know that's bugged out because it's like of all the records, it wasn't Wu-Tang, it wasn't Tribe Called Quest, it wasn't like KRS-One. Yeah. Shit was Ice-T Cop Killer. And I never told him that. I actually got to tell him that one day. The next time I see him, I got to let him know that was my introduction to hip-hop music.
That's what's up.
And people used to look at me like, how the fuck do you know the words to that? Because, Ice is from the West Coast.
Yeah.
I'm in the Bronx, but for some reason,
this is the 80s, right?
No.
Like 90s, like early 90s? Early 90s?
Yeah. That was like my sophomore, I went to my sophomore year in high school or freshman year, something like that. But yeah, it was early. But from that, it transitioned into me DJing. And then from DJing, it was like, I saw the effect that music had on a crowd. So it was like I wanted to get more personal and actually make the music. You know what I'm saying? And my partner at the time, Thriller, he had bought an MPC and he went out of town. He let me hold it. And I made a couple bullshit beats on there, but I fell in love with it. And then shortly after, I met a dude by the name of Todd Terry. And he ended
that in my notes too.
Right. I met a dude by the name of Todd Terry. He ended up buying me like $30,000 worth of equipment, and I was off to the races. So
that's incredible.
Like divine intervention, man. Like God stepped in and said, "You're supposed to be doing this."
So before this, you was a DJ. I have a two-part question. Was being a DJ making producing easier for you, or like
way easier,
a lot easier for you
because you understand tempos. Like, because when you DJ, you got to blend records. You know what I'm saying?
You got to fit the crowd and
stuff.
Right,
you got to understand tempos. You kind of got to understand how to count bars to lead into other records. So when I started making beats, I understood bars. I understood the placement of kicks and snares, and you know what I mean? When I first started, most of my drum programming sounded like reggae drum programs. That's what I was accustomed to. But then over time, I figured out how to blend the two. So you hear shit like Dipset Anthem, you hear Shatas, you hear I forgot the name of this record. Shit like more gangster music. Another record called Gangster with Vado, Movado, and Ace Hood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
we bumped that shit in college. Shout out to I got my guys with me. We bumped that shit in college a lot.
So heavy reggae influence stuff, man. That just comes from that was all I was in my crib growing up.
That's dope. So you answered that part of the question. So definitely make it easier. And a lot of you young guys that want to become producers, take notes. You might want to get into DJ.
I mean, everybody got their own road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some producers never DJ before in their life. Some producers just played the keys in church. Other ones played the drums. other dudes just got tired of getting beats from other dudes, so they started making their own. You know what I mean? So everybody got their own path to get to that point. For me, it was DJ. I never thought about being a producer when I was DJing.
Yeah.
I just loved DJing, but then production was like was natural progression after that for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just crazy. Let's watching a lot of you legendary producers have a back like Irv. I think Timbaland himself as well.
Right. Yeah.
Swizz got backgrounds in DJing, which is incredible.
Jermaine Dupri, I think.
Jermaine Dupri as well.
Yeah.
At what age did you start DJing? Just so we just gonna be covering the beginning.
Late 16, so mid 16.
Yeah.
I started DJing, but it wasn't nothing like I could say I was nice. You know what I mean? I used to buy a bunch of shit. This is making me feel old as fuck. But I used to buy a bunch of like VHS fucking
tapes. I know so.
VHS, but it was like DJ competition, DJ battles.
Yeah.
The DMC DJ battles, and they was doing tricks and shit. So I used to try to do tricks. I wasn't into like doing parties and shit at first. I just wanted to learn how to scratch, how to do shit behind my back, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I started getting decent with that, I'm like, it's bigger than this. Like, I can do parties and make people do certain things. You know, when you control a party, it's a whole different feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like producing a big record because you're controlling the listener at that point, which is a dope feeling. You know what I'm saying? If you're into music like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Doing a little bit of research. You went to Howard University. How was DJing parties there and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's where I really fell in love with it. My first boss that I worked for as a DJ was Manute Bol. You know what Manute Bol is?
Yeah, NBA player.
7 foot. What was he? 7'6"?
6, something like that. Was
tall as shit.
Was the tallest?
I'd be in the DJ booth. This nigga's looking me in the eyes. That's how tall this nigga was. Like the DJ booth, I would have to step up like 3 or 4 steps to get in the DJ booth. This nigga would come over to talk to me and be looking me dead in my face.
That's
after
crazy.
I just walked up 3 steps to get to the DJ booth. You know what I'm saying? But cool dude, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to him.
Yeah.
But,
his son is in the league now.
Yeah,
Shout to Bol Bol.
Yeah, he owned a bar in D.C. It was like a little bar he owned, and I used to DJ at the bar.
Yeah.
But that's where I started doing my first, like, big parties and shit like that.
That's what's up. So coming a little bit forward in the speed, your first beat, Cannabis, 2000.
2000 BC. Yeah.
How did that happen? How did that moment come into place? And this is when you and Thriller were still working together, right?
Yeah. This is that record came about because originally that beat was supposed to be for Fat Joe and Pun for a Terror Squad album. But at the time, it was the first beat we ever played, so we didn't know how it worked. We played the beats for Joe, and Joe said he fucked with it. And then we played it for Cannabis. He said he fucked with it. And at the time, we had somebody acting as our manager, and he was like, yo, whoever is willing to pay for it first, just let them, you know what I mean? And then Universal cut the check first, and we went with Cannabis, and, you know, the rest is what it is. But me and Joe have done multiple records after that. We never even really talk about that, to be honest with you, because Joe is the first one that really gave me, like, an introduction into the music game. Like, when I met him, he kind of broke down to me how much producers get paid, how much they could get paid if they have a hit and shit like that. And it changed my whole perspective on how I viewed the music industry. So I definitely gotta give Fat Joe credit on that, because without him, I wouldn't have understood how lucrative this shit is.
That's a fact. Going from when Todd Terry gave you what, 1,000 for each beat, and then now
to now, you know what I mean? To getting 10, 15, 25,000 for a beat. You understand? Like it grew. And I didn't understand how much it could grow. So
the Foreman, and this is early 2000 when the Cannabis beat was done. It's your first placement,
right?
Major wise. How was your phone ringing? Like, what was the reception from the people or the industry once that first placement was done? Would it become easier? Was it harder?
Nothing. It was the same. People didn't give a shit. I'm just being real with you. What I realized being in the game is that as a producer, unless you have the main track on the album and you only did one, it benefits you, yes. And don't get me wrong, it benefits you to be a part of the album because you get paid if the album sells.
Yes.
What I'm saying is to make an impact as a producer, it's about numbers. Meaning, if I'm going to work with an artist, I want to get 5 on his album, not 1. Because if I get 5 and the album's great, now people are saying, yo, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. And if you like 7... 3 out of those are mine, that's fire to me. You understand?
Yeah.
So I've always looked at it like that because in order to keep my name alive, it's about quantity at this point.
Yeah.
Like, that's why you hear a project like El Capo Deluxe. I got a project coming out with Currency. Matter of fact, I got a project coming out on St. Patrick's Day with OT The Real, where I produced the whole thing. You understand?
Sheesh.
Like, so I just look at quantity now because that's what's gonna make the people say I fuck with him as a producer. You understand? Because now you can hear a body of work from me and not just one record on one album.
And I think it also you also get the most out of an artist when you're able to create that whole project with them.
Of course. And at the end of the day, it's like my whole shit is about creating a vibe. You know what I mean? Like, music can sonically sound good, but that is what it is. That's not what makes you rewind it. It's a feel that makes you rewind it. If a song makes you feel a certain way, you bring it back 10 times. If you riding with your niggas in the car and a song comes on and all of y'all niggas like, you play that shit 20 times from here to there. You understand? Because it's that feeling that you need to get to your next destination.
No, that's an absolute fact.
So that's what I try to create when I make music, is like, I try to give niggas, women, that feeling when you listen to shit, you like, nah, this nigga bugged out. This shit put me in a certain frame of mind, you understand? And if you don't do that, then what are you really making?
Exactly.
You're making noise, nigga. You're just making a bunch of noise if you ain't doing that.
So in 2000, Cannabis, it did something. It helped. It didn't do shit for you.
It didn't do shit. No disrespect to Cannabis.
Yeah, shout out to Cannabis.
Or Universal Records, but I'm just being honest. Some producers are lying, but like, I should change my life. It didn't do shit for me. Well, you know what I mean?
Which was the record that was the one that kind of changed?
When we did 11 on Diplomatic Immunity. That shook the world up. You understand? Like, that when I say the world, I mean my world. The Bronx and the other 4 boroughs around.
I'll tell you right now, I'm 27. All my brothers here, we 27, we 94 babies. That changed our life. Right there. And I'm going to tell you to your face and give you your roses. That shape. The reason I dress how I dress right now is because of that sound, that music, that feel you talking about. I drove down here. I'm about to drive to Florida. I was driving to Florida when I hear Who Am I, when I hear Killer Cam. I remember that moment when I first heard it.
Yeah.
So.
I appreciate that 1,000,000%, because at the end of the day, y'all didn't have to listen. You know what I mean? But I feel like when you create something so powerful, you force people to listen. Whether they want to listen or not, they have to fuck with it because they never heard nothing like that before, or they never felt nothing like that before. You know what I'm saying? So I still try to do that. With El Capo, I try to do that. You know what I'm saying? With any projects I'm doing, that's what I'm going for. I want niggas to listen and be like, yo, this nigga was bugging the fuck out when he made this.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree. And I do want to stick in chronological order, but El Capo, phenomenal project. Even the Deluxe is phenomenal project.
Appreciate it.
Grammys came around. Shout out to Nas. Nas won King's Disease. Well deserved. Shout out to everybody that was nominated as well. But for a Jimmy with El Capo or a Lil Baby to not be nominated.
Should have been nominated. Well, the year that we came out, because this year we wouldn't have been eligible for, we put it out in 2019. But in 2019, it should have been nominated.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that from a biased standpoint, because I've never said that about any other pieces of work I worked on. That album deserved to be Grammy nominated. If we talking about strong albums, powerful albums where you don't got to skip shit, that album should have been nominated. But again, that's just, might not mean shit coming from me because I produced every record on it. So it's sound biased, but it's really not.
It's sound biased, but I also think this is, not only is it the beats phenomenal, the samples, everything just flows in order. And I think that was probably Jim's best body of work.
I think so too.
That he's done. Not just because you produced it, not because you just saying it. I think
so too, because honestly, like I said, I don't speak about my work. I've done a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? You never hear me talk about one specific project. El Capo is a special project. You know what I mean? And the whole making of it, I was telling Jim along the way, like, yo, we got something crazy. Trust me. He'd be like, all right, cool. Just send me some beats. You know what I mean? But I think he know. To this day, I'm sure he know, because people got to still hit him like, yo, this shit is...
I still listen to that shit every day. Like,
I appreciate it,
every single day. The New York City shit with him and and Fat Joe alone, I think that I did a Spotify, my Apple Music, like, Drinks of the Year. That shit was in my top 3 songs, like, playing that shit so many times. It just bring me to that moment. Diplomatic Immunity. Who was that moment? Who was the easiest to work with out of Dipset? Because we know they all got their own personality.
At that time, it wasn't who was easiest or hardest to work with. It was just, I brought music through. Niggas jumped on the record. If Jim and Cam jumped on, it was Jim and Cam. If Jim, Cam, and Joel's jumped in. It was, you understand? It wasn't like,
if it was just Joel's or
yeah,
just Cam,
I wasn't picky. It was kind of like, yo, Jim want to get on that record, all right, cool. Cam want to get on that record, cool. Joel's, all three of them, that's even better. You understand? Like, I was just happy to be working at that time.
Yeah.
To put it into perspective for you, I wasn't one of those dudes that was like, yo, I need this and I need that, and make sure in my studio sessions I got this. I was just happy to be there. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like, I didn't know it at the time, but I was living a lot of people's dreams as far as like getting paid to produce on a major album that went platinum, and I did 11 tracks out of, how many tracks was on there? 17, 16?
Yeah, 17.
Right, 7, yeah, so it was like I was living a dream at the time, and I didn't really understand it because I was a workaholic. So the whole time people are praising the work that I was doing, I was trying to make new shit.
Yeah.
So
it's a classic moment. It's just crazy. You just live when you're living in the moment. You really don't.
You know how some people say to like live in the moment. I didn't live in the moment at the time. I was worried about tomorrow. You know what I mean? I was worried about how the fuck am I gonna keep this going?
Because you remember how it felt in 2000 with the cannabis joint. It was like, alright,
but then honestly, I wasn't ready then. You know what I mean? Like, because even when I went to that session, I was telling my homeboy the story the other day. Even when I went to that session, the engineer was like, back then you had to, in order to track out a beat, you had to hook it up SMPTE. Like, there was a thing behind this machine. It was called SMPTE. This wire you plugged in, and it had 8 chords going from it. And, you know, like, it would track out the shit per track.
Yeah.
So I walk in there, the engineer's like, yo, hook up your machine, SMPTE, let's track this shit out. And I'm like, the fuck is he talking about? And he's looking at me like, yo, how you a producer, you don't know how to do this? And he was talking to me crazy, and I'm like, how the fuck is he talking to me crazy like this? But at the end of the day, I didn't know, so I took accountability, and I'm like, I'm never going to feel like that again. And I just learned everything. You know what I mean? I learned how to hook shit up. I learned how to use Pro Tools, mix, master, everything. You know what I mean? That was my thing. Like, if I don't know how to do that or do whatever, I'm going to learn now, because nobody's ever going to be able to tell me, like, yo, how you don't know how to do this?
Yeah,
and this is your field.
That embarrassing moment.
Yeah, I wasn't ready then. You know what I mean? It happened early for me, which is a blessing, but I wasn't ready the first time around.
And then when we come back around this time, when we get to this, it was just go time.
No pun intended. I'm ready. 1,000,000%.
All right, that night. Shit. There's a lot of soul in right now. Let me go to my notes right quick. So we know you worked with many artists. Mm-hmm. Rumor went around, I don't know how true it is, you were supposed to have something on the Yeezus project with Ye.
Yeah.
What ended up happening with that? Because I know Ye been around you for a while. I mean, since
we kind of, I don't want to say we came up together, but we'd be in the same studio sessions playing beats for Rockefeller artists. And so, yeah, you know, I've been around Ye before. We're not like friends. I don't know call each other. We're not friends, but we're not enemies either. You know what I'm saying? So for the Yeezus project, I believe at the time they had Khaled executive producing, and Khaled reached out to me for some music for Ye. I gave him some music. They picked something. And to my understanding, because I've gotten credit on Bound, they took the record I gave them, took it apart, and there's a bunch of producers on that record, but pieces of what I did is in there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't take credit for shit like that, because I don't speak about it, because that's not the record I gave him, so I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know what pieces he took and put where, but it is what it is.
Just accept the credit as it is.
Honestly, I don't even accept the credit, because as you can see, there's no plaque up here, and that shit went, 3-4 times platinum?
Absolutely, yeah. So
if I took credit, it'd be a big-ass plaque in here. I don't really want that type of shit. Every plaque you see up there, I put hard work into, and those are the records I made. You know what I mean? It's not anybody else.
Y'all check them out, man. We got Wayne Carter 2, El Capo, Joel Santana with the Game Missing, Diplomatic Immunity, Come Home With Me, Cameron, Purple Haze,
Little Flip. And that's Fred the Godson.
Fred the Godson. Shout out to Fred, man. R.I.P. to the great one.
Rest in peace to my brother.
So I was going to ask you about how did you get with your relationship with Dipset, but we could talk about Fred first. Your relationship with Fred, how y'all meet, and all of that, and actually still working on some of his posthumous work.
Yeah, I actually met Fred, funny enough, outside of, he was auditioning for 106 in Park back in the day. And I pulled up, and I remember some people I knew had got around my car, and they was like, yo, you gotta hear this kid, you gotta hear this kid. And I remember Fred came around, he had on like a football jersey, and I put on a beat in the car, and he just started going crazy on that shit. And I'm like, who the fuck is this? Because the shit he was saying, this is like 2003.
So with AJ and Freeze on 106
Right,
Hip Hop.
it's like 2003, something like that. And I remember the shit he was saying was like next level shit. I'm like, how the fuck? What? Like, who is this nigga? So me and him became cool. I ended up doing a few records with him, but then we lost contact for like, I want to say 3 years, 4 years, something like that. But we would see each other on occasion. And then I ran into him again. And at the time, I started plugging him with different DJs to get on their shows to do interviews and rap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I remember he went on Enough shit. He went on K Slay shit. He went on a few people. And then he started heating up. And then the Monique's record came out of nowhere, Monique's Room. And then, he got his name up. And the rest is just where we at now, really. You know what I mean?
Rest is history, as they say.
Yeah. Like, the last project I got with him is insane. But we did all that in 4 days before the last time I seen him. So if quarantine went into effect probably last year, March 15th, around that time, we did 7 records from like the beginning of March till March 15th. So we did like a record every other day. You know what I mean? And so anytime we seen each other, we would do a record.
That's dope.
So I got about 7 records for him. I'm just getting the features together.
That's dope. And we can expect that. You going to let us know we can expect that.
April 23rd.
April 23rd?
Yeah, that's the day he passed. So I'm trying to get it on the day that
R.I.P. Fred the Godson, man. And now your relationship with Dipset, how did that even come together to even be working with them?
There was a dude by the name of Renee McLean. He I think he was managing Cam at the time, but he also used to get records placed on the radio for like up and coming artists. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you paid him, he got some records placed on the radio. So we went to go see him because we had these dudes we were working with out of North Carolina, and he was like, "Yo, what do y'all do?" I said, "Yo, we produce." It was me and my 2 homeboys. And he was like, "Yo, y'all got music on you?" And I always walked with a CD on me at the time. So I had a CD of like 20 beats and I gave it to him.
Taking it back now because everybody got a hard drive.
Yeah, everybody got flash drives now,
yeah.
So I gave him the CD. I remember me and my people was in North Carolina like a week later, and Cam calls my homeboy's phone and was like, "Yo, it's Cam, I picked a few beats off that CD. I need y'all to come to the studio." We went back to New York, went to the studio, and he was just playing us all the shit that he recorded. Like, I'm Ready. What else is on that CD recorded? I'm Ready. I think Santana did. Santana the Great. More Than Music. More Than Music and Dipset Anthem was the last 2 beats that I made and gave to them. But everything else besides that, they picked off the CD. You know what I'm saying? So, off rip, they picked 9, and we did an extra 2. So the relationship was built from there, to be honest with you. After that, it was off to the races. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I'm lying. It really got built a little bit before that, but Cam didn't know. Another dude was trying to take credit for the tracks that we did on Come Home With Me. Because we did Come Home With Me and Boy Boy. So somebody was trying to take credit for that. And when we got with Dipset, Cam realized, like, oh, these are the dudes that made that. I could tell by the sound. You know what I'm saying? So everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, it played out how it's supposed to play out.
1,000,000%.
It is what it is. Creative process wise, what's your creative process? How do you go into creating your beats and stuff like that? If you could put it into words, or something like that.
I think I just gotta feel like making music. You know what I mean? Like I'm not one of those dudes that I'm not like a robot where I just work. Like somebody's like, "Yo, go work." For me, I could come into the studio at 1 p.m. I could sit around till 5 looking at shit on YouTube, doing whatever bullshit with people around me, and then when 5 hits, I feel inspired and I want to work. And when I say I start working, it's more like once I turn the machine on, I can't even tell you what happens after that. That shit is like, it's like I go into autopilot. You know what I mean? I've been doing this shit so long, it's like I really go into autopilot. I don't think about what I'm doing. I just do it. And then at the end, I step back and listen to it like, oh, that shit sound kind of crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know people might be like, this nigga's bullshit.
It's like a zone or a flow that you're going to.
I don't think about it anymore. It's like, you asking Steph Curry, how does he hit those threes? He don't know the shit. He's on autopilot now. He just been doing it so long that this shit is automatic.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. It's like, my process really, okay, I get shit that I like. I put it into the machine. I take all the pieces I like, and then I try to find a way that they work together and make sense and sounds fire, and I just add drums and arrange, and that's the straightforward answer. But honestly, it's just like I just turn the machine on and let what happens happens.
So, yeah, it's kind of, you just, like you said, it's just that flow you get into, and then
Like, there's been days my homeboys are here, and we're having a conversation. They go grab something from McDonald's. They come back, and I got a beat finished. And they like, what the fuck? Because I just, at that time, I got into a zone, and I felt like doing it, and I don't realize that it's happening in 15 minutes. For me, it feels like it's probably taking an hour and a half, and they just come back from the store like, yeah, I just went
you
to
just lost the track of time. It's just because it's that time to go.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I feel like I've been doing it so long now that the shit that I feel like is taking me a half an hour is really taking me 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Because in my head, I feel like I'm doing a lot, but I'm doing it so fast, I guess, that when I look at the time, it's like, oh, shit, I thought it was longer than that. But it's not. You know what I mean? But I've been doing it for 20 years, and if it wasn't like that, then something's wrong with me.
Absolutely.
Anything you're doing for 20 years should be like that.
Yeah, it's a skill at this point. That
I just think it's like breathing.
Yeah.
You don't got to tell yourself to breathe. You just breathe.
Absolutely. So of the artists you worked with, so many, and I'm keep going through this. I'm looking like how many artists you worked with. Who is your favorite artist to work with, and why is that your favorite artist to work with?
Well, the natural
or
answer,
the easiest one.
Yeah, the natural answer would be Fred, because me and Fred was around each other damn near 5 days a week for like the last 11 years. You know what I mean? So we understood each other musically better than a lot of artists I work with, because he heard 80% of the beats I made, and I probably heard 80% of the rhymes he wrote. So you understand, like, so the natural answer would be Fred, just because of being familiar with each other.
Absolutely. And you was also at the renaming of the street that they had for Fred
100%.
and all of that, and it was a lot of love there. I seen you was there, Jim was there, Joe was there.
Yeah.
I'm up in 38.
Sway was there.
Sway was there. Shout out to the Underground. 38 Special was there.
38 Special.
Yeah, I'm up top in Rochester now, so I'm getting
OT the Real was there.
Shout out to all of them, man. Yeah, shouts, man. We missed
Joel was there.
Joel was there.
Because Joel came with me. Well, I met Joel there. Joel was
shout
there.
Shout to Joel. He was just here just a minute ago. Yeah. Shout out to him. That was crazy. Just seeing all the love that he was getting.
I don't think people understand how special that is. That's bigger than a Grammy.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying to you? Like, a lot of people got a Grammy that's in this music industry. How many people got streets named after them?
And a street that they grew up on.
And that's going to be there forever. So look how ill it is. A kid's going to grow up and say, yo, I grew up on Fred the Godson Ave. I grew up on Godson Ave. You know how crazy that is? That's crazy to me.
His kids can come down there and like, listen, look, it's where your grandfather grew up. This is a street name.
Like, a bunch of people can show me Grammys. You can't show me street signs. That's official. That the government signed off on. Fact. That's legal. You understand? Like,
and the people actually love it too.
He didn't get a boulevard. He didn't get a place. He got an avenue. That's a big deal. Niggas give you a little boulevard, a little place, nah. My homeboy got Fred the Godson Avenue in the Bronx, where hip hop was created. You know how big that is?
Absolutely.
That's insane.
One of the biggest things ever. So I got a couple questions from the fans. One of them was asking, would you be willing to collaborate with other up and coming talent that do production as well, create beats?
No.
Pretty simple.
The reason why, I feel like production collaboration defeats the purpose. Because, again, like I told you, I make music off of feeling, right? So if you're having the best day of your life, I'm having the worst day of my life, what type of music are we going to make together?
It's just going to clash.
Do you know how the stars got to align for us to work perfectly together as new producers in the same session on the same day? Yeah. We're never going to be in tune as far as, like, how I'm feeling, how you're feeling. You understand? Like, and I don't want to be caught in the middle of that trying to create. So I'd rather not do that. I appreciate everybody for what he or she does, but I would rather you do your own thing and let me appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear Timbaland collaborate with fucking Griselda's producer. You know what I mean?
Derringer,
like,
shout to Derringer.
Like that, yeah, right. You understand? Like, I like what Derringer does. I like what Timbaland does, but the two together wouldn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, certain things are just best left alone. It's like even some rapping and production collaborations. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear Pharrell with M.O.P.
Yeah, facts.
You understand? Like, I don't want to hear Pharrell with Wu-Tang. Not saying that he couldn't make something for Wu-Tang, but I feel like it would be too polished for Wu-Tang. You understand? Yeah. Like, so it's just certain things. I admire people's lanes that they're in, and I stay in. I keep them in that lane. The minute shit starts to bleed into other lanes, it becomes funky out here, man.
Yeah, so a weird, sticky situation. I got another question. Nickel Fields. I don't know if you say he doesn't know if you remember him, but Nickel Fields, shout out to Nickel Fields from Rochester. He said, when you going to send him another beat?
Nickel Fields?
Yeah.
I gotta see his picture, man.
Let me see if
a lot of people, man.
Let me see if I can pull Nickel.
And I sent him a beat before?
Yeah.
Did I?
That's what he said. He said, when you going to send him another beat?
Did he pay for the beat?
I have no idea. Let me see.
Because there's no way it was in anywhere in the near, like...
Nickel Fields.
This is him right here?
Yeah, the white dude.
He said, when am I going to send him another beat?
Yeah.
I've never sent this dude a beat before in my life. I don't even know who this is.
Oh, man.
He gotta come with some dates or something, like years.
We gotta figure that one out, man. I'm gonna have to holler at him on that one.
Or maybe he just said that to strike up a conversation or something.
Possibly. I don't know. It's fan questions.
If I do know him, I apologize, but the face don't really...
That's striking a result. Yeah, don't ring a bell.
No, it don't.
And then the last one is from I can't remember who it's from. They were saying what a becoming artist have to do, or a new artist have to do to be able to get a session with you and try to create.
Well, we could do that. It just gotta make sense as far as like everything. You gotta be dedicated to your craft. The
Absolutely.
business side of it gotta make sense for me, because let's just speak like just common sense, right? Like anywhere you go to buy something, it has to be something of equal value. If I go to buy a hamburger, they want $3. I gotta have $3 to give them. It's an exchange. You understand? So if I'm working with a new artist, I can't be the only one bringing something to the table.
Absolutely.
Bringing notoriety to the table. Bringing production to the table. Bringing something to the table that, like, what are you offering? Do you have a fan base? Because to me, if you have a fan base, that cuts the price down for me, because now I can make money on the back end. You understand? If you don't have a fan base, how can you promise me money on the back end when you don't have anybody streaming or buying your music?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And if I do a project with you, the only people that will stream and buy will be my fans. So that's not a fair trade-off. For all of that, I could put out an instrumental CD or instrumental project.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And make more. Because now there's no rapping on it. You know how many people been asking me for that shit? So it has to make, like, I'm doing a project with OT The Real. That makes sense. He has a following. People fuck with him. Mm-hmm. And people fuck with me. So the two together should do decent. You understand? Like, but I'm never going to do a project with somebody unless the business side of it makes sense for me, where I'm going to take the time and effort to put together 10 to 15 songs for somebody. It has to make sense on the business side, front end or back end side. You understand?
Absolutely. Definitely. Any artists, before we only got like a couple questions before we get out of here, any artists that you haven't worked with that you want to work with, anything like that?
Yeah, a few. I think Jay-Z, of course.
Shout out to Hov.
50 Cent. I've always wanted to do something with 50 Cent.
50 still rap? Is 50 gonna keep rapping? I don't know, man. He getting too much TV money now, man.
I know he got a few songs left.
At least he get you on a score or something. If he can't get you on a
I
jump,
want 50 on a Heatmaker record, man. I feel
that'd be crazy.
Because 50 is a dope artist to me. I don't give a fuck what anybody say. 50 is dope. You know what I mean? And Eminem. So Jay, 50, and Eminem. Those, you know, I've had other artists on my records before. So like I have a record coming out on Ross's new album. So that's another one off the bucket list. You know what I mean? Sure. I've worked with, indirectly. I've worked with Jada through like Jim, through other artists. But on my bucket list too, I got to get a record in with Jada, a full record. Same thing with Fab. I've had Fab on my records with like Jim or shit like that. But I want a direct record with Fab. So a few people, you know what I mean? Like Jay, Jada, Fab, and 50.
That's simple.
Yeah.
And you work with the newer guys too. I seen on the deluxe it had Conway the Machine.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. I want to get in records with them too, with Benny, Conway.
Shout out to Griselda.
Me and Special actually putting a project together. You know what I mean?
I got
which is gonna be fire.
Stand with Special too.
I did on his last project. I did this joint investment pieces on his 38.
Interstate 38.
Interstate 38.
Yeah. I heard that joint.
Pieces on there, which is fire.
Yeah. What the fuck was that last question we had here? Trent was saying 2021. What else is there to come? Where you see things going within at least this year so far?
I'm just working, man. You know what I mean? People have always asked me like, what's up with the next 5 years, 10 years? I'm just happy to see tomorrow, to keep it real with you, man. I've seen too many people drop around me to think about 5 years from now. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I don't. I don't even try to wrap my brain around that far in the future. I just want to be here tomorrow, make some music tomorrow, sell some music
willing.
tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Facts.
That's it. I ain't trying to make plans for, like, my mom just always say, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. You know what I mean? Because he know better than you. So how you going to tell somebody that know better than you your plans?
That's
so I don't make those type, my plans are for now. I know what the fuck I'm going to do today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, you here today, and I don't know if you even plan to be here today.
Like me and Fred had conversations about what we was going to do this year, next year, the year after that. You understand?
Yeah.
Fred ain't here to fulfill those. But we had those conversations, so it even taught me more of a lesson, like, today is what's important, living in the moment right now. Like I told you before, when I was doing all that Dipset shit, I wasn't living it at all. I was making a shitload of money. I didn't take the time to say, like, all right, cool, I'm fortunate. It was just like, go. Try to make sure you set up shit for next year, 6 months. You understand? Like,
yeah.
I ain't with all of that no more. Like, right now is for right now.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying make stupid moves, but I'm never going to stress tomorrow.
Definitely can't disagree with that.
They got some shit. Who told me some ill shit? I put it on the gram. They said, today is the tomorrow you was worried about yesterday.
Real talk.
Take the time to think about that. It sounds like some crazy shit, but
that's some deep shit.
It's the truth. It's like, today is the tomorrow you was worried about yesterday. So yesterday's already gone. And today you're living in the moment that you was worried about yesterday.
Exactly.
That's crazy to me. Like, why do that? Live right now. When tomorrow comes, you deal with it.
And enjoy this motherfucker while we can.
1,000,000%. Tomorrow's definitely not promised. Anything can happen to you. Anything. At any moment. So if you good now, be good now.
Facts. And on that note, we gonna close this interview. Also, I appreciate you, man.
It's all love, my brother.
You already. Anything you need from me, I'm around. And I'm definitely gonna keep in touch. And like you said, March, you said St. Patrick's Day, you got something coming?
OT the Real.
OT the Real coming out. And then
April 23rd, Contraband 3, Fred the Godson.
Coming out on 1 year anniversary of his passing. But we gonna make sure that it's a beautiful day and not a sad one. So
1,000,000%.
Appreciate you. Shout out to my team. Ron Season TV. We up out of here.